let's move on.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes got his big contract, got an adjustment last year after Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert got paid. And Travis Kelce has been woefully underpaid for a long time. And he made that comment in one of the articles last year where, not a sports article, it was one of the crossover, he's becoming a big deal, Esquire, GQ, one of those two. And he said, sometimes he thinks he's kind of getting screwed. I'm paraphrasing, but he is. He was at like $13.5 million when the receiver market is much higher than that. And I know he's not a receiver, but he's as valuable as a receiver to the Chiefs. And he's just kind of languishing. I know we don't need to have a bake sale for him, but the question is, you're out there, you're contributing to this multi-billion-dollar business, and others, dollar for dollar, who are lesser than you, they're getting more than you are.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't fair for what his impact was on the game. So they've taken care of it. And they gave him an extension. There was some confusion yesterday. Was it because they called it an extension?
Yeah,
like
right.
The initial reports were it was a 2-year extension. Well, he was under contract for 2 more years. So is it a 4-year contract or what? Eventually it became clear it's a new 2-year contract. That's the Aaron Donald move. Aaron Donald did a 3-year deal with 3 years left. They literally rip up what's left and replace it. That's what they did for Travis Kelce. Ripped up what was left and replaced it. And I think the teams don't like to advertise that we do that.
Yeah,
because,
right.
There's another guy on the team who's got like 10 years left that they should probably rip up and replace. But that gets Chiefs fans triggered because they want their quarterback to be underpaid so they can afford everybody else like Travis Kelce.
Well, yeah, certainly. Of course they want that. They want to keep this thing rolling. It's the right thing. The Chiefs are doing all the right things by their people this offseason, right? They're taking care of the people that have made them what they are and the most popular team in our country right now in professional sports. Kelce, I think you kind of said it right. You buttoned it up the right way. One, he's awesome. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of those guys that we talk about all the time that's going into the upper room, right, with Deion Sanders and Ray Lewis as that kind of all-time great. He's special that way. Right? Is he the best he could possibly be right now in his career? No. We're towards the end. I would expect this is the last 2 years of Travis Kelce's career. If you made me bet on it right now, I would. Right? But I think it's the right thing to do, not only because he's still playing at a really high level and he's dangerous, right? Is he as good as he was 3-4 years ago? Okay, no. But he's still damn good. And then, of course, he's such a big part of their team, their belief in who they are, the leadership, the connection with Mahomes, and just the little, spot and nuance he's found for himself within the offense, not only by the play being called, but what he does if the play breaks down and it becomes scramble drill. He's special that way. And then I think the last piece of the pie, Mike, is you're exactly right. It's like, It's like almost a little bit of like, you've done so much for us. This has been so great. You took us to another level. You're forever part of the DNA of the Kansas City Chiefs and this great dynasty here. Nice move by them, and certainly well-deserved by Travis Kelce, who we know is just absolutely awesome.
I was wondering, in a situation like this, who made the first move?
Yeah.
Was Kelce saying, I want this contract, or did the Chiefs say, we probably should take care of this guy? There was never any serious retirement talk for Travis Kelce. I think some people just thought, well, what more do you have to prove? You're in the process of crossing over and becoming a star in the entertainment world. He's going to host a game show on Amazon. He's the executive producer of a couple of movies. He's dating Taylor Swift. Like, at what point do you just say, I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to put my body in jeopardy anymore. I can walk away while I can still walk. So it'd be interesting to get to the truth as to how this came to be. Was he rattling the cage to get it done? Was he talking about, why do I need to play? What kind of messages might have been coming from him to get the team to do it? Here's the message from Kelce yesterday after the news became official of his new 2-year contract.
Back at it again, baby. Woo! Had to see a little Super Bowl right there, man. Feels good to be in KC. I remember coming here 12 years ago, man. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I can't wait to get after it these next 2 years. But no better than right now, getting fired up for this year. Just got out on the field with the boys. Doggone, we're back at it, baby. Chiefs forever.
So, he says the next 2 years.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get after it these next 2 years. That
That's
sounds
a
like
signal.
a commitment
Right.
by him that he's got 2 years left.
Yeah.
He's got 2 years left. And the way they've structured the deal, $17 million fully guaranteed for this year. The remainder, $7.25 million for 2025, is fully guaranteed on the third day of the league year. That gives the Chiefs a little bit of a window to, give them a nudge if they decide based upon this year, because you never know when the decline comes. The decline could start this year, and the Chiefs could say,
Yeah, I think it started already, to be quite honest, right? In a
well,
nice
if
way.
If it really accelerates this year,
Right, I hear you. Right.
then and you've got somebody else that you're ready to plug into that offense because it's coming at some point. That's the thing for Mahomes. They're going to all change around him. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, this guy. Mahomes is going to be the constant. That's the reality. And, they have a window to get out. They didn't make a firm $34.25 million full guarantee. Let's see what happens this year. Let's see what we're going to do next year. So it's a compromise. He's got 2 years. In theory, the Chiefs have year to year in reality. And it sounds like the maximum for Kelce is 2 more years. And I think there's a possibility after this year, whether it's Chiefs, whether it's Kelce, whether it's mutual, it could be. Could be.
I hear you.
Based upon the way this is structured, it could be exit stage left for Kelce into, the new life of glitz and glamour and 178,000 miles of flying, which I saw that report yesterday. That's what Taylor Swift did last year, 178,000 circling the globe. I don't know how many times it was, multiple times around the globe for all her flights to the different shows that she does. So, he can just ride the private jet all the time.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if it was a 1 year and he reevaluated and kind of went, okay, I'm done. But I expect it to be the 2 years, right? I mean, I think we saw, like, with all due respect, a little decline in Travis Kelce last year, a little bit. Right? I mean, he maybe doesn't separate quite the way he used to. There was a few games where it was a little bit of like, hey, where is he? Where did he go? Right? Still really awesome. I think that's why it's a really awesome deal for the Kansas City Chiefs that they're doing this. It's a little bit of like, hey, you're still awesome, but we're also paying you for, for what you did and what you have done for us, right? It's a little bit of that, like almost a legacy bump on the contract to that point there. And
which rarely happens.
It rarely happens. That's the point. In the NFL, it rarely happens. So that's where I really do give respect to the Kansas City Chiefs organization and everybody there for doing right by, like one of the pillars of their organization forever and ever here as we go. But yeah, I wouldn't even be shocked, Mike, if that little element in the contract's there, for him as well. Just, in case he's like, wait, you know what, I'm done. I got enough going on. Hey, see you later, and I'm going to move on with life. But he certainly has hit a different stratosphere. It's good. They're giving him the money for what he is now. But, man, I mean, by all due accounts, he is raking it in off the field right now in a huge, huge way. And that's probably what led him to being a little patient with this thing. I'm sure the agent and him were giving the team a little nudge every now and then, right? Like, hey, this is ridiculous. And they knew it was, and that's why they got it done. And they've done a good job of taking care of the most important people in that organization.
And I think that the analysis, there's going to be a lot of factors that go into it, but how big the ship is that comes in for Travis Kelce over the course of the next year is going to be a factor. The earning opportunities. If somebody says, we want you to become The Rock, we want you to star in this movie, and it's filming from August to October, so it's up to you what you're going to do. Well, how much are you paying me? Well, we'll pay you $25 million for this role. Well, it's a no-brainer. I feel like that's the thing that could short-circuit it next year. Whatever opportunities end up coming his way this year. Right. And I don't know. I don't know what he ultimately wants to do other than be really rich and really famous. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Sounds
I don't know
good.
how that's going to manifest itself.
Yeah.
Like hosting this game show on Amazon. Where does it go from here? Where do the opportunities arise? He's got
the podcast
got
is the biggest podcast going around right now in sports world. Right.
So and his brother Jason's going to work for ESPN's Monday Night Countdown. That was reported yesterday by Andrew Marchand of The Athletic. So
that's where it's going to go too.
He can do.
That's where it's going to go too. I mean, 2 years from now, right? I mean, yeah, I'll have to be biting my own.
I don't have time to do that.
I'll have to bite my own fingernails. He'll find time for a few $1 million to be on Sunday Night Football, right, for an hour a week and go, wait, I'm out here, I'm a famous guy, blah, blah, blah. It's a good way to do that. It's certainly going to be there and available for him. People are going to knock down the door for him. They knock it down this way for Jason Kelce. Imagine what it's going to be like for Travis. As awesome as Jason is, Travis is in another stratosphere right now. He is going to be
I think Travis is too big for it. I think Travis is too big to be on a pregame show.
It could be.
I do.
Right.
I do.
Right.
That's why we were so stunned when Tom Brady decided to be the number one analyst at Fox until we found out how much they were paying.
Well, yeah, this is all going to go up.
That job. Oh, wait, $37.5 million.
Yeah.
He's not too big for that job.
No.
He still hasn't done it yet, though. But I just think, look at Gronk. I'm all due respect. And, Gronk is just Gronk. Gronk is never going to be anything but Gronk. And it's going to pay him very well. But it's not like they're going to come to Gronk and say, we saw you in that thing you did. You really have it. You can deliver lines. You can be an action star. I think he hopes that'll happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
it could happen for Kelce.
It could happen for Kelce.
That's where you go from being, just another face in the elite crowd to The Rock, where it all opens up and you're getting these gigantic paydays to star in these films. I think that's what Kelce ultimately wants to do. Now, you want to be careful not to articulate what you want to do because then you look like a failure if it doesn't happen. And there's no greater sign of somebody who doesn't get it than somebody who spouts off to the world, this is what I want to do, this grandiose thing. You just get to work, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think that's what he wants to do. I think enough of it came through in that profile last year that I was referring to. He wants to be rich. He wants to be famous. Don't we all? And he's on path to do it in a way unrelated to football, where I think he won't have the time or the desire, and it'll be beneath him. It'll be beneath his stardom to be a regular contributor. Well, it depends on how much. Yeah. It depends on how much they're going to cough up. But I don't think they're going to, because that's what happens. They cough it up, and then the rising tide lifts all boats.
But that's what's going to happen.
It's like, no. Well,
just like that's all that's going to happen. I know the TV networks don't want to hear this, but this is all going to happen. This is what's going to happen because they're not going to be able to get anybody to work for them anymore. These guys are making so much money, they're going to have to start spending money to get them, right? From what I hear, from what Jason Kelce's making on ESPN, it's like, oh, boom, whoa, and he's not working that many days. It's a bigger number. These type of guys, I think, are going to expand this market. And it is still a huge spot. And like we talk about all the time, when you retire, you got nothing to do. He's not going to be that busy. He's not running like some billion-dollar corporation or anything. I think he'll have plenty of time still.
If you're doing movies,
and maybe
if he
movies could change that. That's right.
You can't commit to every Monday or Sunday in football season because you're going to be in Bora Bora for 3 months.
He's going to have to, if he wants to, and if he wants to do movies and he wants to be the next Terminator like you talked about, he's going to have to start working out, okay? He's going to have to do something because, his quarterback's got dad bod. You saw Travis Kelce's picture and how the social media went crazy with Taylor Swift on the beach a few weeks ago. Did you see all that?
I didn't.
Oh, well, everybody was like, wait, he plays football? Look at his body. How is this? How is this guy so good at football and he looks like this? I don't understand it. The Swifties were all confused. I got in the back room, them looking for it a little bit. They'll find it. I know they will. But
here's the reality.
You're right, though. He could be a superstar, a Hollywood star, right?
Yeah. They don't do PED tests in Hollywood, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
All right. But
Rock looks a little different now than 20 years ago.
Not Rock. No, I'm not saying. I don't mean Rock. I don't mean Rock. But just some of the films I've watched recently where guys are rocked and cut, and it's like that ain't from spending a couple extra hours in the gym. Again, there's no regulation of that. It was like wrestling used to be.
Yeah, of course.
Steroids were rampant in wrestling until they got it under control. I think in other forms of
Here
entertainment.
it is. Way to go, everybody. Way to go, right?
Yeah.
These are the pictures. Right? These are the pictures, and it just was funny because I, of course, look at some of this stuff on social media, and it just was funny to hear all the comments. And I think there was even another picture with Kelce that was a little more unflattering. But people, I just think, they think just because you're a football player, you're always built like a Greek god, and you got pecs and, pasted on six-pack. And no, there's a lot of good players that kind of just, hey, we stay in shape, but I'm not into sculpting. I want to be loose and flexible and move around. And that's kind of what Mahomes and Kelce have kind of taken that approach. Where then there's the Gronk who's like, oh, I'm going to be jacked. And Gronk takes his shirt off, and he is a Greek god. And you're like, oh, my gosh, look at that. Right? So there's different ways to do that. That's just his approach.
I remember when Gronk, though, first retired and lost all that weight.
Remember
and
that?
He was on Fox
right.
Wearing the big, giant Ben McAdoo suit. He actually looked like the character that Tom Hanks played in Big at the end of the movie when he goes back to being the 12-year-old boy in the Tom Hanks suit. That's what Gronk looked like. Dated reference, but again, a couple of you out there will appreciate it. Big's an excellent movie, by the way.
Excellent.
Tom Hanks was
excellent
nominated
movie.
for Best Actor before he won back-to-back years with Philadelphia and Forrest Gump.
Damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know he got nominated for that. Wow.
Yeah, nominated Best Actor for Big. I was rooting for him. I remember because I thought it was a great movie. It was a surprise. I've always been a big Tom Hanks fan. I remember when he was on Bosom Buddies in the late 70s. You can just tell when somebody has it. You can tell. And when you watch shows from that era, the acting was different, the delivery was different, the people were different, and then Tom Hanks just kind of explodes onto the scene. And it's obvious he's got something the rest of them don't. So anyway, that's where Travis Kelce is going to try to reside. Does he have that thing that's going to set him apart from the Gronks of the world who just show up and go, ho, 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 ho. But again, I can't hate it. It's working for him.
Of
He's
course
making
it is.
money.
It is. It's being
but it's
him.
The same thing.
Yeah.
It's Gronk being Gronk. Just Gronk, go be Gronk, and here's a big check. Okay. Yeah. So that's I can't hate it. It works.
Travis Kelce's he's a little different, right? He's not like Gronk. We'll see. It seems like there's definitely maybe of a different crossover appeal with Travis Kelce. I mean, he is into fashion and cool, and at Coachella. I mean, he's at every big event. Like, it's even gone to – I mean, he's in a different superstar stratosphere that I think even a guy like Gronk is at this point. It really is exploded, and it should, and that's why it's cool. I mean, we know how awesome he is on the field. We get to see Mahomes and Kelce for 2 more years, which is no doubt one of the greatest – combinations we've ever seen in the history of football between a pass catcher and a quarterback. It's up there with anybody, right? They're breaking Gronk and Brady playoff and Super Bowl records as we just sit here and watch and as bystanders. So it's really cool. And of course, there's such a big history of the game, the Chiefs and Kelce, and the way they're doing it, like we've talked about. We haven't seen too many dynasty teams do it this way. I think the Cowboys in the 90s are the only ones that I would throw in this category where it's just like, we're here, turn on the lights, it's the traveling show, eat it, and we're going to win this game no matter what. And it's kind of cool. It's different than most dynasties.
No, but the Cowboys in the 90s fell victim to, and this is the mindset that I said other teams should have with Chris Jones. The Cowboys were dismantled by other teams that were overpaying their free agents to break up the Cowboys. There's no sentiment out there to break up the Chiefs. If anything, get the Bills helping them out. We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. But nobody swooped in and offered Chris Jones the kind of contract that would get him to leave Kansas City. You don't have that now. It's easier to hold it together when the other teams aren't saying, we need to mess them up. We need to tear them down.
Yeah.
We need to make the Chiefs be something less than the Chiefs to give the other teams out here a chance to compete. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.